Swell can't have nice things.
Well, and so this was just the first part. You had a 3-volume set here.
Yeah, I have other stuff. I mean, we can talk about it now, or we could save it. I mean, it's Jack Davis, Will Elder, all those guys. It's yeah.
Ooh, look at that.
Double whammy
That was
action.
some cool action right there.
Turn it around here.
Yeah,
See
they're
what I'm
backwards.
saying? Hey, upside down. Yeah, can you see that?
Production.
Yeah.
Smell-o-vision.
Good.
International House of Pancakes. Would you like a menu? Yeah. Anybody know what that's from? Come on. SCTV. Yeah. I'm dating myself here. Yeah, all these guys, if you didn't have...
Are you really pulling out Wally Wood, Jack Davis, Will Elder, and then saying you're dating yourself when
Dating
you're talking
myself.
about the album?
Dating myself when I'm not even going to go there. I'm not even going to tell you what it's from.
Look at you right now.
I can't even tell what it's from. She wouldn't appreciate it. SCTV.
Oh, SCTV, man.
Yes,
John
SCTV.
Candy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah, good time.
That was good times.
But these guys, like Wally, go back to Wally Wood. He worked on every EC. Listen to him, Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis. John Candy.
Joe Flaherty.
All right, Tim. It's starting to go into
We got to reel it in.
movie podcast.
Yeah,
zone
we got to
here.
talk about Thor yet. But anyway, Wally Wood worked on every EC title, like Aces High, Tales from the Crypt, all those. He had something to do with every title.
Sci-fi.
Everything. Panic.
Yep.
Which was actually making fun of Mad, which was their flagship title at the time. Panic was like a 12-issue series that made fun of Mad.
Yeah. Excuse me.
So.
Well, it's crazy. I realize that a lot of things that are popular, how short lived EC Comics were.
Right.
I mean, you're only talking like 3, 4, 5 years at the most.
Yes.
At the most.
Well, that's because of Wordham coming in with the Seduction of the Innocent.
About 53, 54.
But the volume, and again, not to bring it back, like the Beatles, 8 years. I mean, the sheer volume of quality overshadowed how long it was.
And I don't know if that, and I've said that to this day, when you got Janice, Jimmy, and Jim, those 3 people that were all gone within a year of each other, what would they be doing? Like Eric Clapton still puts out decent music, but he's no longer, they don't say Clapton is God, they don't, he's not on the cutting edge anymore, as you were talking about.
Do you think, though, that too can have at least a little bit to do with the fragmentation of the audience? There's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's more choices, which means everybody's somewhere else. We were talking about that about Paul McCartney. It's like, his stuff isn't as legendary as it was in the earlier days, but at the same time, I don't know that I've given it as much attention as the earlier stuff. My son.
Yeah. Tell me whose last 5 albums, and tell me 4 songs are on 5 albums.
Right. But if you ask that question, how many people actually listen to those 5 albums? Like, it's easy for me to say, well, I don't know them, that means they're not good, but I also didn't give them, the attention that it wasn't playing in my childhood. It wasn't playing on the radio because I was surrounded and exposed to it. My son's been getting into Paul McCartney, and I mean, some of that stuff's just killer. Like, and it's the newest stuff. His last 3, 4, 5 albums. Mm-hmm. There's stuff on there that is just, I mean, I set it right up alongside of anything he ever did. Not all of it. I mean, there's filler, but some of it's really, really solid stuff. And so I would argue that maybe, again, just the fragmentation, it's easy to miss stuff and then just assume it's not as good because I didn't hear it. Whenever we now live in a society where it's not thrown in my face as much as it would have been when there were fewer choices.
Right.
If that makes sense.
If you take the 4 solo artists from the Beatles, and they have more hits than just about any group out there. Just their solo stuff after the Beatles.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them could have, Paul could have 3 discs of just greatest hits, of just the Wings and his solo stuff.
Sure.
Lennon, all these guys, 15, 20 songs that you would know every song.
Who's your favorite Beatle? If you
Paul
have to pick
McCartney.
one. Paul McCartney.
By far.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm going to dissent.
Yeah.
I'm a Ringo guy.
Really?
Yes.
Just happy to be here.
I think that Paul McCartney. I think Paul McCartney is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, the most talented. I mean, he's just a genius.
I think Ringo's
And I
one of
love
the most. We talked about this. I think he's one of the most underrated drummers.
my
Absolutely.
favorite one's Harrison, George Harrison.
You're down in the Octopus Garden, huh? You're down.
He's a great drummer. Great.
And of course, convention, when you hear people, they're always like John Lennon. And I'm like,
No.
Yeah.
no. I think his stuff with the Beatles is phenomenon. His solo stuff, and a lot of people that are friends of mine, if anybody's watching this, will not be happy when I say that, because they think Lennon is by far the best. And I just, no. I don't like all of his stuff. it got a little rough around the edges. Where
Yeah.
Paul's always, as you said about the silly love
And then you
songs,
got to deal with Yoko.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut
That would
back.
spoil a solo album real quick.
I'm trying to cut
Yeah.
back.
Trying to cut a little Yoko out of my diet.
I'll be your baby. Stop it.
Just
Get
had
her
a
off.
Morris
Get her
so
off.
good.
Check number 8.
Yeah, you
Check
must
number 8.
you must be crazy about a woman
Yeah.
if you let her do half an album.
Yeah.
And you're one of the greatest songwriters, singers of all time. I think they even put Rolling Stone put Lennon above McCartney as singers. And obviously that early stuff is, rock and roll is really good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how can somebody that great have half an album that has Yoko singing?
I guess being that great is what allowed that to
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you
bad.
try
Really
to
gonna go there?
you try to peddle that stuff somewhere else, and it's like Yoko. Oh no.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say at this point.
Can't help it.
All right, on to
Yeah.
Thor.
Let's talk about that.
Did you get to see Thor yet, Gary?
Really?
Yeah.
What
There's
kind of
our-
question is that?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I
not even
knew
a
the Hulk
question.
was in it. I thought maybe that was going to make it
I'm
a.
absentee for this whole
Because he's all about
podcast.
that computer generated Hulk. He's just phoning
The
it
claw's
in.
gonna come down
He's
from
not
the
even
ceiling.
here.
That claw.
The Mystic
That's a
Formula waits.
soundy look.
Big.
Big.
Still like a computer.
Looked like a video game, but it was cool.
You know, though, they're taking it because it was like an alien planet and all that. Not it was fairly spoiler free here. There's so much of the world that looked like a cartoon that it
Yeah.
kind of blends.
It did.
It reminded me of when Peter Jackson did that King Kong movie. It's like they did a great job because it's a giant ape.
Yeah.
So what they did was they made everything look computer generated. Like if you watch that movie, it all looks like it doesn't exist. So it's smoother.
Yeah, the arena, the arena and that whole, pump it up sort of like a wrestling match kind of, that
Yeah.
whole pump up. It's very, obviously computer generated, but it does, I agree with you, it blends in.
Yeah.
It doesn't stand out as much because of the surroundings. Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
It's like just bring the environment closer to the cartoon character as opposed to trying to make the cartoon character any closer to reality because we're as close as we're going to get.
Well, I guess on an old fuzzy Zenith TV from back in the 70s, that probably wouldn't stand out, but you're talking high definition TV
Yeah.
where you can see the pores in people's faces.
Yeah.
And then you have a computer generated character. And like I said, to me, you guys know Hulk's my favorite character of all time. And I just wish they'd put a real guy in makeup.
I think
I
that
really do. And CGI him.
I think that you would enjoy the movie. I think you can walk in because,
Yeah.
again, even Thor, they kind of, I think they're doing enough filters and things on everything else that it all looks uniform. It's all consistent.
Maybe they're getting close.
Well, and again, I'm not saying that he looks more like a living, breathing person than he did in the last movie. I just think everything else is kind of stepping down to be with him. So it looks uniform
Yeah.
across the board. But I thought it was. I had people saying it was the best Marvel movie ever. I don't think that's true.
I'm getting Larry and stuff because that's what everyone's saying from the reviews and all that. And I'm like,
I
I'm
thought
gonna
it was.
walk-
I
I'm
thought
gonna
it was
walk in
really
there,
great.
you know.
I thought it was really great.
It was
Yeah.
really
Because
fun.
we went into that because you're saying Rotten Tomatoes, everybody was really touting it.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed the flick, but I'm with you. I don't know if I can say it's.
I don't think it's the best one.
But it was very good.
It
Yeah.
might crack the top 5, but I can't even.
It was very good.
Yeah.
It was
I
very
just-
entertaining.
it was
I
fun.
bounced. I liked how the storyline sort of bounced back and forth from
And-
like Asgard to where he was.
Yeah.
They played out a little bit, then played out. I mean, I thought it made it interesting.
And it might not be the most popular opinion, but I thought they could have dialed back the Guardians of the Galaxy like humor by about 10 to 15%.
Yeah.
Could have just cut that a little
Yeah, I was
bit.
when he was with Sotar and the beat, like sort of
Yeah,
like I'm
Yeah,
like.
what the hell's happening?
I know. I sort of thought like, wait a second,
Yeah, and I wonder. I think without Guardians of the Galaxy, that probably wouldn't have felt that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought it was good, and it was amusing, and it was action packed. I mean, really, I feel like, man, who am I to complain? Like, it was the best Thor movie I think you could ever make.
Yeah, it's much better than the second one.
Thor. Well, I'll tell you, Thor's my least favorite Marvel main character. Like, I don't have any interest in him usually at all. But I
I like the
saw-
first one.
I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
It was okay. The second one I stopped watching about halfway through. I was like,
You,
I'm done.
you've said this before too. That I like the Iron Man movies,
Yeah.
but I'm not really much interested in Iron Man as a character.
Right.
Well, his Iron Man 3 was like the Tony Stark movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could say, that I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. Thor. See what I did there?
Oh.
Ba-doom. Yeah, I went into it with
That
high
eye
hopes.
contact you made me uncomfortable.
Mission,
Mission
mission
accomplished.
accomplished.
Thanks,
That's
buddy.
what I'm talking about.
I'm gonna go buy another monster.
My work here is done.
Yeah.
It might actually be.
I did.
We're gonna have somebody else sitting in the seat next to
Hey,
us.
wait! I'm getting paid for this. You get paid for this? I'm not getting
Oh,
paid
here
for
we
this.
go. Touchy subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving
Oh
on.
yeah, well, it's
No,
not.
anyway,
Time
back
on.
the truck up.
Yeah.
Anyway, I did enjoy the movie, and I went into it with high hopes like you did, because everyone's saying, "Oh, it's the greatest Marvel movie ever made," yada yada.
Yeah.
But like I say, I'm still like 10 years old. Mega action figures in my head. I'm just like glad to see what they've done. And
Sure.
it was a definite tip of the hat to Kirby. I mean, like the credits at the end.
The arena too. Yeah, and the,
even
oh,
down
yeah.
to like the Thor coming across there. It just
Yep.
looked like I'm like leaning over and told Static. I'm like, man, it looks like Kirby just drew that logo right there. I mean, it's just great.
And of course, as always, they're using Planet Hulk, which is not that storyline.
Right.
I thought though that they
played
did
it-
a great
they,
job.
They did a good job making
not
that
saying,
happen.
but you guys know.
I'm just telling you, they made a
because
good job.
that book, what is it, 92, is just blown up price wise.
Yeah.
Oh,
Planet
sure.
Hulk.
Yeah.
I think it's $50-$60 and stuff now.
Easy.
I
Oh,
believe it.
easy.
Well, like I said, you go to read that and you're like, "Where's Thor?" It's like Thor's not in it.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer is,
Silver Surfer.
Sure.
and
It
it
wasn't
didn't have
e-
anything to do with Civil War or anything, did it? Right?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
Why Thor? Why Hulk was there?
This very much, I think, played into, and again, without giving too much away, I think this explained
Where he
where
was.
those guys were during Civil War.
Yeah.
I
It explained
mean,
where Hulk was. Yeah.
it felt like
Yeah.
this movie was happening while Civil War was happening.
Yeah.
But just meanwhile in another part of
Yeah.
the universe.
Right.
And but I thought it was really good. I mean, I read the Planet Hulk, and I love that. And
Yeah.
I thought this didn't step on those toes at all.
And include what I thought was cool. It just didn't include the Hulk from Planet Hulk.
Right.
Included some of the other characters, which I
Yeah.
thought that was cool.
And I think that's part of the reason
Yeah.
why that book's blown up, because
Yeah.
there's a certain character that shows up in there that
Yeah.
everybody's touting is
Yeah.
the best thing ever. And I agree. It was really fun
Yeah,
and
it was.
interesting. And I
Yeah.
thought a lot of the characters that were in that crowd, they seemed like aliens that could exist. Like when
Yeah.
the episode 1 of Star Wars came out, there were so many of those like cartoony looking,
Yep.
goofy things that I just hated. And with this, it was like, man, some of those characters are pretty neat. It kind
Yeah.
of reminded me of the original Star Wars.
There's
Yes.
a Valkyrie in it.
Yeah.
One of her first appearances blown up. Price
I don't have to look it up.
Well, 126 Hulk.
Well,
Well, that's when
And
she,
the- and
she before she becomes Valkyrie.
and the trailers. I mean, I don't think I'm not. I don't want to give anything away, but in the trailers, if you want to mention who else is in there, because he's in the trailers. They show him now at this point. I mean, the movie's been out a week, but
Who's in the trailer?
Crickets.
no,
Okay, well, I'm
Who's in
trying
this?
to-
Gary
Car-
doesn't know.
I'm trying to think.
yeah, our Rocky friend, not the Thing.
Am I losing something? Did I just think of a brain fart here?
I don't remember his name, but
Oh,
sorry.
Card.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You said in the trailer. I'm like, oh wait a second.
No, I mean, it wasn't.
I'm sorry.
I wasn't giving
Yeah.
anything away because
sorry,
he's been
yeah.
appearing in the trailer. Like people know that he's in the movie.
Right.
I wasn't
Cord,
giving it.
the original, one of the original Stone Men.
Yeah.
That were in, of course, that were in Planet Hulk, but was also in Journey and Mystery.
And I think
83.
that's why
Yeah.
the part
I'm
of the
sorry,
reason,
I totally-
that's
I was like,
that's part of the
trailer.
reason. That's part of the reason why
What
the book's
Rocky
blowing
guy
up,
was in
because
the
so many people
Sylvester
are like,
Stallone was in the trailer. What? Oh my God! I
Yo,
missed it. How
no.
the frick did I miss that?
No, no.
Out of
Was he ever
that's-
named in the books
Out of control.
before Planet Hulk?
That was his first appearance. Was Planet Hulk. Cord's first
No,
appearance.
well, they're actually saying. Well, they actually said though that the Stone Men that
Uh-huh.
were in the very first Thor, Journey and Mystery '83,
Uh-huh.
they have somehow tied that that's who they were. Like
Right.
his-
That's what I'm saying, they
like
didn't-
his,
As a
like
civilization,
his, like
that's
his
sooner.
elders, Korg's elders.
Right,
Yeah.
but his first appearance was Hulk '92, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I think that's part of the reason why that book's blown up is
Yeah.
because even though he wasn't, I don't want to give anything away. I'm just saying for the size of his role in that, there's been a disproportionate amount of people saying that guy's great.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the name of the sidekick, but yeah.
Meek.
Yeah, Meek.
The insect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there you
Meek.
go.
Yeah.
And I just
Which
thought,
are both characters obviously in Planet
yeah,
Hulk.
it's To me, if
Yeah.
you dig Planet Hulk, and I know you guys all do,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I think you can go there and watch it, and it's not like it takes away from the story
No.
that you already have. It's just it kind of expands on it.
It's
It
a bonus.
yeah, just
knowing,
twists it around a little bit.
knowing the Planet Hulk storyline, I almost wish they would have just pursued it a little more because there were other characters in the War Bond.
Maybe
You know,
they
they used
will.
those too.
And the good news is,
That
with
was
Korg
cool.
being so popular now and everybody talking about it, because I was reading they're already talking about a spin-off for that. And so if that happens, who knows how far that'll go.
Sky's the limit.
Because if 5 years ago, I would have been like, what, Guardians of the Galaxy? They're not making a movie
you
about
know
a
what?
raccoon with a gun.
The animated version of Planet Hulk is sort of cool.
I've
I
never
have
seen it.
It's sort of cool. I mean, it's Marvel cartoony, you know, which
Right.
I think always falls a little bit obviously behind the DC stuff. That's just how.
Yeah, I agree
don't want
with
to
you.
hurt anybody's feelings. That's how I feel. I think Planet
I'm
Hulk.
hurt. I'm hurt.
I think Planet Hulk itself, the storyline would definitely stand up as a movie. Would have standed up. I know they used it obviously in the Thor movie, but I think it would have held its own and done very well if they would have just
Oh, the
done
Queen
Planet Hulk.
having a child.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
That-
I think it would have been spectacular.
Back
I'm
in
glad,
the-
but I'm glad that's not probably going to happen, obviously. But I'm glad that they utilized part of it because it was cool.
Do you think, and to put you on the spot a little bit here, but do you think, like, okay, if it's an animated cartoon, but it's told well, and it follows the story that you like, is that okay? Is that something you'd be down with?
I don't like the animated cartoons.
Okay.
As I asked you about the Killing Joke, I'm used to Brian Boland's artwork,
Right.
and then you guys give me, and there again, these guys are great artists, like Bruce Timm's
Mhm.
version
Yeah.
of it. I don't watch those kind of things.
Okay.
I have
So
no,
it's
no interest in a cartoony version of something that's that serious.
But like if you but if you have the Hulk where it's not quite realistic, but the rest of the surroundings and the other characters are brought to that same level to where it's consistent. I mean, does that in any way help it? You think?
No, not for me.
Really?
No, I have no interest in watching it at all. Because there again, I'm looking at this great artwork that was in Planet Hulk, from the covers to the inside, and it's phenomenal.
Well, I mean, in terms of the
and
film.
you're not dumbing it down. Like I said, I'm really not here to be brutal on cartoonists or that make cartoons per se.
Right.
The animators. It's just something I don't.
It's just not your
I feel like it's made for an 8-year-old kid.
But in terms of the movie itself, like with this film, it's like, yeah, if the Hulk basically looks how the Hulk always looks, but the other characters are brought down to be uniform to where it all kind of looks the same. Like you don't see a difference between the Hulk and say Thor or
Right.
Valkyrie or whoever. Do you think that
No,
makes
I don't think it's being my age. I don't think it's made for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No, because I think as you were talking about, with Mad the first time you seen it.
Yeah.
Well, if you're 6, 8 years old, 10 years old, and you see Planet Hulk animated or The Killing Joke, I think that might turn you on to comic books. You know what I mean?
Right.
But to me, it's taken a step back because of the phenomenal artwork that is associated with the comics. As you guys know, comic books is where it starts. You guys talk about movies. I see them and I don't see them. I enjoy them and I don't enjoy them. But they're not a necessity in any way, shape, or form of what we're doing right here.
Right.
What we're talking about. We're surrounded by comic books, not movies. This isn't a movie store.
Right.
That's just a byproduct
Yeah.
of the cool stuff they do in comic books.
One cool point about exposing the Planet Hulk portion in the movie, though, it will encourage, because they've been reprinted. There's True Believer copies of the Planet Hulk storyline that are much more affordable for people to get, because the original run obviously is starting to climb. And it's cool though, and it's also in a trade paperback too, or I think it'll be easy for people to acquire that and read that now. They saw it in the movie and it'll go, hey, there's more. I understand there's more to this. Let me go read the story.
Well, and the thing is, if you're exposed to the movies first and come back to the comic books, it's going to be just as confusing as me going to see a movie after reading the comic books. It's
Right.
like, this isn't Planet Hulk, but it's elements of it.
Right.
Yeah.
As we've said, the things they use in Batman and Superman, that uniforms.
I think people
Dark
will be
Knight
able to
Returns.
connect the dots.
Huh?
I think people
To
will be
me,
able to connect the dots.
that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I emphasize. Being hard-headed about this, I don't connect the dots at all
Okay.
between the cartoon characters or the animated series. And yeah, when I read Batman, the latest White Knight, which issue 2, Sean Murphy's doing just an incredible job on it.
Yeah.
If that was animated, it wouldn't have the same effect at all.
Right. No.
Because
that's
his
fair.
artwork and his artwork is dark, and it's very cinematic. And if you just animate it, round everything off, look like a coloring book, I'm not interested.
All right, yeah, that's fair. I with,
Yeah.
with the Star Wars. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I love that stuff. And like Rogue One and the Force Awakens. I mean, Last Jedi comes out in like a month. I can't wait for that stuff. That said, I gave Clone Wars, the animated cartoon, about 10 minutes. And I mean, that's been on for like 10 years. I mean,
Yes.
there's hundreds of episodes. I can't do it. I love the stuff. I love the mythos, but it's just not my jam. I can't.
I hear you.
Yeah, like I said, that what I'm talking about, that's where myself and you guys just disagree. I just have no interest whatsoever in watching the animated Batman, Hulk, Planet Hulk, Thor, Iron Man. It doesn't make a difference what it is. I'm not interested.
No, what about the movie though? Are you down at all with the new?
Yeah,
Thor
but
movie?
like I said, I'm going into it seeing it as something totally separate.
Sure.
That it has nothing.
And it presents itself that
Yeah,
way.
I don't think that
Yeah.
it's something
It
where it's
presents itself.
supplemental. Like
It-
I don't
no.
look at it like, hey, this expands on
No,
the
it-
Planet
it-
Hulk
it
story.
presents-
It's its own entity.
Yeah, it presents itself that way.
But it's a different-
I think you'll be okay with that.
To me,
Yeah.
it's almost as I've said this, the ultimates that Marvel did is just those series were great, where they could reimagine Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
or X-Men,
Yeah.
or any of these characters, and the ultimates was really, I mean, the Thor
Oh, I
was in
love-
that. I understand.
love
I'm
Ultimate
not
Spider-Man.
reading the Thor,
Right.
but
Reading a Thor.
yeah, a Thor, and I
Sure.
could still enjoy it. So, like I said, I
I think that's the perfect
A Thor
way
for
to
sure.
walk into this.
Right.
This is not the definitive thing.
No.
It's the cinematic, because the whole cinematic universe is their own thing. I don't compare that to this at all.
Yeah, Nick Fury is
Yeah.
not Sergeant Fury, not the one. There's one of the books right over there on your counter. That's Sergeant Fury in that pile of war books.
Yeah.
And if you came over here and said, look, this is Nick Fury, Sergeant Fury, and they were like, that's not the one that's in the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
So I have
One
to.
of the
I have
movie was busy
disconnect.
with snakes on a plane.
Yeah. But there again, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury is spot on. It's incredible. It's just not the way the comic books.
Say what again?
Yeah, that's about it. So, yeah, we should have shotguns for this kind of deal, I guess. Well, moving on, did you guys read anything new, interesting, exciting, and fun this week from the new releases? Gary, I know you ended up, that's my fault, a week behind on the Old Man Logan, but that book's
Yeah,
just
can't wait to
solid.
read it.
Yeah, it's rolling. It's
Can't
good
wait.
stuff.
Let's see what direction it goes in now.
Right.
Because I see
Because the current
Diodato. would do,
storyline is wrapped up. So
Yeah, I know, but he's continuing, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna see where it goes.
thumbs up.
Sticking around.
Love his artwork.
Yeah.
You know, I've got him ordered.
I'll tell you the one I really loved because I love the artist, and you showed it to me. Was the Deadpool. I pity the fool. The Deadpool versus Spider-Man because my old pal Chris Bacallo did the artwork. And
Yeah.
it's super cool. And there's some crazy characters in there. Hell Cow. Do you remember that? Bruner did.
Oh, yeah.
the
Hell
Howard
Cow, the duck.
and
With
that-
Satan's
and that-
udders.
no. Frank Bruner did in the early Howard the Duck stories. Frank Bruner did a side story in the back of the Giant Size Man thing that was about the character was Hell Cow, which is basically a Gene Colan-esque vampire cow.
Hell cow.
It shows up though in this Deadpool versus Spider-Man. I'm like, going, get out of town.
Wow.
Yeah. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Hell Cow.
Hell cow.
Hell cow.
I got a question.
Hell Cow.
Hashtag hell cow.
I got a question. And the new, and I don't know where the new White
But the
Knight-
art is killer in that book. Sorry. But the
That's
art is
okay.
killer.
In the new White Knight, I've read issue 2 where, was it Jack Napier comes, he's the Joker, and he doesn't have makeup on. And he's now claiming and stuff that all he did was put a little mascara, and he claims he only did this, and that Gotham City made these super criminals. And this is a very interesting storyline that's going on. And he comes home to Harlequin, and it's the newer one. And I'm not, no spoiler alert, but there's 2 of them, 2 Harleys in this book. The original, with the old outfit, with the full mask and everything,
Little dangly jester thing.
Yeah.
and gets into it with the newer one, and at their apartment. And like I said, I don't want to spoil anything.
And they
for
rip their
anybody,
clothes off.
But is there 2
Gets back to the
Harlequins?
boob theory.
No.
I don't know. I'll tell you. I read the first
The
one
boob
on. I read the
theory.
first one digitally, and I haven't gotten to read the second one. And here's just a public service message: go to your local comic book store. And
Yes.
Please order the books that you want ahead of time, because what happens is no one asked for Batman White Knight. I think maybe 1 or 2 people did, and other than that, I had 12 people come in and say, "Where's Batman White Knight?" Because it was Batman, I ordered like 5. They were gone like within minutes. I didn't get a chance to actually physically hold it and read it. and they're gone, and it guarantees you'll get the book if I know you want it ahead of time. And that goes for local comic stores all over the country. Let them know ahead of time what you want so that we order it and order enough so that everybody can have one. I have probably 4 or 5 people right now waiting for number 2, and I was able to catch up with number 3. But it sold so quick I didn't even get to look
Glad
at it.
I got a copy.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
Number
I'm
two
one of
is-
those guys.
There's
This
something-
public service announcement was brought to you by.
Yeah,
All
our
Your
buddy
Areas
Tim's
Comics.
still-
Thank
he's
you very
still
much.
waiting.
I'm gonna get it.
He hasn't gotten his
Eventually.
copy yet. But
Wow.
again, sometimes there's just a benefit to naming the damn store. Okay, when the store's named after you, you got to make sure the man gets
Yeah,
his books,
yeah.
even if he doesn't ask for
Yeah,
them.
thanks a
ahead
lot.
of time.
Thanks a lot.
Tim's Kyle Ripken like streak has gotten him quite a bit, but unfortunately, it didn't catch him one of those
Yeah.
books.
I'm not the namesake, all right?
I got 5 copies of number 1, and 2 of them were something that somebody ordered, and I thought, well, hopefully these move, because in the middle of this whole Batman Dark Knight's metal thing, I thought, who's going to bother with this when they're committing to this Batman metal deal?
My,
Now
my,
you know.
Yeah, everybody.
my glamps at it because I saw some. It's the art.
Yeah.
Oh, Sean Murphy's art.
Oh,
the
yeah.
art, it, like hit me. Like I'm like, wow, that's cool.
It's
I mean,
one.
that's
It's,
fine.
yeah,
Art's-
it's one of those comics that's rare. You turn the page and you're like, wow,
Yep.
and that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Turn the page and then you wash your hands. Turn the page,
Rocco.
wash your hands. Yeah,
Rocco.
sweet.
Yep.
Lot of
like
comics.
3 jokes there, like not that one, not that one, and not that one. So just keep going. I'm like, nope, nope.
Thank
nope,
you,
nope.
thank you very much.
Oh wait, nope.
Big old pile of
Yeah,
notes.
Oh,
Yeah, I
speaking
missed the
of-
boat on that. I
What?
actually missed the boat on that comic. Yeah, write it down.
What?
You're the White Knight action.
Yeah.
I need to have it.
And there
for my
again,
life.
I usually don't read Batman, but I've always enjoyed every Batman. But I just the whole metal thing. I was like, nah. You guys heard my critique on that. I read the first issue and I'm like, I don't know what this is. This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And there again, it's
We
another
missed
one-
the original
It's,
run
it's
of Court of
another one of
Owls,
those
too.
major crossovers that I'm just
It's
not.
great, but we
interested in.
missed that too.
I'll tell you what
Oh,
they're
yeah.
doing that I think's cool with the
Can't
metal.